All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of a play date. My name's Kaya, and today we have a play date with Miss Kim. How are you, Miss Kim?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Did you like that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. Actually, I'm doing great. I'm blessed, and there's things that I could complain about, but of course I won't because it doesn't do any good. So,
Amen.
amen.
Yeah. Okay, so start by telling me where you're from and how many kids you have.
Okay, so I am from Champaign, Urbana, Illinois. Woo woo. And I have three children.
Three.
Three.
All boys, all girls,
All boys.
all boys.
All males out here.
I hear that's a lot different from um having both genders, but I know they all have their own personalities still.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that
Mm-hmm.
like raising three boys?
Wow. I think it was tough. It was tough because you know, I kind of had to, do it by myself,
Hmm.
so to speak. I was initially married to their father, but that didn't work. So, I had to do it kind of single handedly. However, we know that there's always a village in place. So, I had a village that helped. My mom was very instrumental in raising the boys, but it was hard because as a woman, you know, we certainly have different perspectives,
Yeah.
and our emotions are quite different than males. So it was challenging, but by the grace of God, I made it through. So
Okay, so how old were you when you had your first boy?
when I had my first son, let's see, I was 20 years old. 20 years old.
So um okay, so you said you had help and cuz
Oh yeah, village.
a lot of help.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
all the church people, family. Uh, like I said, my mom was really instrumental, but yeah, I think when you're raising children, it's impossible to do it without some help, some
Right.
support system. So I did have that.
Well, I don't. Nowadays, everybody thinks you're just supposed to do it all by yourself,
I know
and
things have
yeah,
changed
a lot.
drastically. Yes,
So
yes,
I don't agree with that because we all need help. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
All of us, even the best of us, need
Right.
help. So
Right.
absolutely, absolutely.
I don't want to be a superwoman. I don't want to. I want to do everything myself. I don't want to do that.
No, no, and it's really impossible. I mean, I think sometimes we have a tendency to think that we can,
Yeah.
and we may even try, but there's a song that says no man is an island, no man stands alone. So we know for sure that is a fact. Like we need somebody for something,
Yeah.
regardless of how minute it may be. We need other people in our lives. So yeah, there's no way you can really raise children alone. Nah, nah.
Okay. So, excuse me. Do you remember all of how your pregnancies went? Like, do you remember all of the journeys and the experiences?
Girl, no.
No.
So no. So my first pregnancy, let's see. Let me try to think. But my first pregnancy, I got pregnant in college. So I was a freshman in college. Um and I think at that time I had never been in a serious relationship. And so, there's a lot of things that go on with women. We are emotional. That's without pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
So we're emotional. We can be possessive. We can be uh what do you call it? Very insecure. Especially like when our bodies are changing. And so you think about it when you're on a college campus with all these other females, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you're already whatever, and then you get pregnant, and then so you're dealing with that. And I think it was so unexpected for me. I couldn't believe that I had made what I considered at that moment such a big mistake. um and so it was very difficult. I didn't know how to convey that information to my parents
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going away to college to learn,
Right.
not to come back with an extra package. And I already was not independent, you know what I mean? So like I still relied on my parents for financially, emotionally, all that, you know what I mean? So it was kind of tough. And then this gentleman I literally had just met my freshman year, and which are the kids' father, by the way. But I just it was just all new for me. So you think about a new relationship, um new you, because
Mm-hmm.
as you're developing in college and as you're growing and maturing, you're discovering you, right?
Right.
And so I'm dealing with that discovery of self. And then you bring on a new baby, and then I'm in another state. I went to college in Mississippi initially. And so I'm in a a totally new state.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm around surrounded by people who have, I would say, inadvertently became my family, because those are the people that I was around, even though I didn't necessarily know them super well.
Right.
They pretty much were my family because that's who I was around. But um, so that pregnancy was very difficult, because I felt like we weren't tied to each other. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So there was always this possibility that he could find somebody else, want to be with somebody else, and then there I'm stuck. So you kind of have all those thoughts in your mind, and so
Yeah.
you're just kind of going through through an emotional roller coaster. But it was really tough, and I think the hardest part was knowing that I had to go home and reveal
Right.
that I'm pregnant. So it was kind of tough. It was really kind of stressful. But once they found out, and then it was like everybody knew, you go back home, and you go to school and be successful, and you don't finish, and then you come back home, and then everybody's looking at you like you supposed to be the church girl. You pregnant, that kind of thing. So it was rough. But after that initial shock, I think it was cool. And then Norland, number two, I remember he was like 14 months after the first one.
Mm.
And that pregnancy was kind of tough because I hid it literally for 8 months. I hid it from my mother.
How
I mean,
did you do
I
that?
hate, I don't know. But so I worked at Hardee's, which has nothing to do with how I hid it. But I just go to work pretty much. I already had a baby, first off. And so I would just, pretty much go to work and wear bigger shirts. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know how I was able to. And honestly, there's this thing called discernment, people that are of faith and all that stuff. So I'm sure she kind of knew something, but it wasn't like definitive.
Right.
So but yeah, I kind of don't know how I hid it that long. But what happened was, I know you ain't asked me, but can I tell you? So I went to work one day, and somebody bust me out at work. Like my mom came in to like pick me up or something, and they said something about me. I don't remember exactly what they said, but they said something about me having a baby. My mom she didn't know no until that moment. So can you imagine your mom picking you up? First of all, you're already living with her. That's the one thing I didn't mention that. So I had to, once I left college, I came back home to be with my mom, because of course that was my residence anyway, right?
Right.
So um anyway, yeah. So can you imagine though, like your mom picking you up and finding out from a coworker who just opened a big mouth and bust you out, and then you gotta ride home in the car with your mom, and she like, wait, you pregnant? And then the thing is, she's like, you already got a baby, right? Like he ain't like running around, like 8, 9, 10. He like a
Right.
baby because they're 14 months apart. And then you got another baby. You don't have your own house or anything. And I don't think I even had a car at that time. So it was just a lot of pressure. So that pregnancy was really tough. But the thing was, he was in the military. So the idea was that we were going to get married, but we weren't married at the time. And so anyway, initially my mom basically told him, you need to come get your family. So of course he eventually got us or whatever. Then a little ways down the line, I think he's the youngest. I think him and Norland maybe it's a shame that I don't really know, but like 5 years apart or something, 5 or 6. So really I was kind of almost free, not really, but sort of, because I had 2 toddlers and I'm like, they walking, they about to go to preschool and school, I'm straight, I'm good. And then I got pregnant because I ended up going back to my husband because because we got married by this time, so I ended up going back to him because we had separated. And so then I got pregnant again. And that one was really tough because guess what? We were on the verge of divorce. And so we end up separating again, and that was for good. So that one was a tough pregnancy because I felt like because we were so distant and had, just communication issues and things of that nature, I felt like he didn't really build a bond with my youngest son. I felt like he kind of was a little distant or whatever. So that was kind of tough for me, that particular pregnancy. But all in all, I mean, we made it through. So yeah, that's
that's really all that matters. You made it through.
I made it through. Yes, Lord.
That's great. That's good. Okay, so as they're older now, how do you think their personalities differ?
Let's see. So, okay, I think I can tell you. So my oldest son, he is 27 or 28. I think he's 28. Okay, he's 28. He is I want to say mature, but kind of not. He's a kid at heart. Okay, he's a kid at heart. So he likes to wrestle around and play and poke, right, with the other two. But he is brilliant, like absolutely brilliant. And so he's in the scientific field. So all that, all those terms. He's married. But he's kind of just, kind of like really carefree. And lighthearted, but really like a child. There's this inner little boy in him. And so he kind of operates that way. But when it comes to, just his education and his work and all that, he's all in. You know what I mean? He's very mature from that standpoint. So Norland, the middle child, he probably a little bit more serious, a little bit more matter of fact, very goal driven, and poetic.
Yeah.
Very poetic. And just I think that's like he's fun, but he's more of the serious type, so to speak. And then your boy, the youngest one, straight hood, like just straight, like I shoot a beep, 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 whatever. I mean, I'm not condoning that. I'm just telling you, like he just straight. He's so cool, so funny, hilarious, extremely smart. I mean, he's got that street and that what's the word I'm looking for? Like geographic type intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like knows everything about the animals and why they do this and why they do that. But he the guy you want to hang out with because he's so cool. He's so straight up. Like I mean, like he blunt, real blunt, right? So sometimes it may be hard for other people to take, but he's straight hood. Ride or die, will set it off. He's one of them. So you can tell, and he's the baby, but you could tell like the difference between the three. Like they all have their own different, different personalities, but like they're joy. So yeah.
That's good. Did you have any complications with any of your pregnancies?
So with Chris, I think yeah, he took forever to come. So that was an issue, and I'm trying to see. There was something with I can't remember. Um, I can't remember, but I know it took a while for him to come, so he was kind of stubborn. So I had cesareans for all of them actually, so they all were pretty stubborn. Um, and then let's see, Norland, he had an issue with his kidney. And so I think they were kind of trying to, he was late. Oh yeah, he was late. Super late. And so they took him too. But he had an issue with his kidney, so he had to have surgery at a very young age. But he's fine. And then D was just long and ready. So it was I think he was okay. Like he was good. He was like, let me out of here. Like so yeah, no. So yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah.
What was the reasons that you had to have C-sections with all three?
So this is interesting. This is maybe interesting to you. So um I don't know if that was really so my one of my legs is shorter than the other, right? And it happened when I was 8 years old. We don't know. Nobody knows why. And so they did all these tests and they did all these different experiments to try to figure out what caused that. And they still don't know to this day. So they labeled it a virus. But because of that virus, it caused me to have stagnation in my growth, of course, but then it limited my mobility too. So, like being able to, I know this gonna sound, but being able to really stretch my legs like super wide the way I needed to, I couldn't do it. I couldn't
Wow.
do it. So, and the doctor told me, she said, if we were to try to do it that way, we would literally have to break your leg.
Ooh.
So that's why, I had to have cesareans. Yeah, I mean, it's a mystery. Like nobody knows, you know, why. But
Wow.
yeah, it just when I was 8 years old, it just happened. My growth was stunted, and just one side, and that's what happened. So I still don't know to this day what. Now I could open wide enough to do it, but I'm just saying I couldn't have no baby. Obviously, right?
Obviously, you do it wild enough to do what you gotta do. That's funny. That's funny.
So yeah.
Okay. So, okay, since your first two are so close in age, how did you manage the both of them?
I didn't. And I say that because I had a lot of support. You know what I mean? When it like church family, my mother, um, and my stepfather at the time, was extremely helpful, um, for my oldest son. Not necessarily when they were together, but he was extremely helpful, um, with the oldest one because he died before Norland was born. So the second one, he died. So, but he was extremely helpful in kind of managing him. So I think in turn, his manner, like his whole demeanor was very calm.
Right.
The oldest child, and
Right.
so I think with him being that way, um, it kind of helped with the two being together. But honestly, I didn't. I don't consider myself necessarily to have managed because I think I just had a lot of help, you know what I mean, and a lot of support, and that's really what kind of helped me get through because my mother's a disciplinary, so she just had it on lock, you know what I mean, and
Right.
so that that was the balance, and I think that was the managing, was her, having her there. And I give her all credit, for the boys, the way they turned out, the discipline they have, just their whole approach to different things in life. I credit her. Yeah, because she was like the sustainer.
Mm,
So
okay.
yeah, for
So
sure.
did she um was it different from her parenting style from raising you when she was interacting with them?
You know, no,
No.
like she ain't put like she, so old school is different from us.
Yeah.
As parents. Now I'm older than you, so you know I got a little bit, or whatever, but no, like the parenting style is so different from her to me and then from me to you. It's just different. And I'm more like you all, you know what I mean? Um, but she was just a disciplinary. I mean, she knew what to do. I don't even know how to explain it. Just wisdom
Right.
on what to do and how to do. And she tells me all the time, she just asks God to help her, because my biological father died when I was 2 years old. And I have two older siblings, one who is 6 years apart from me, and and the older one is 8 years apart from me. So she said she would just literally ask God how to deal with different situations. And that's how she was able to, manage. Um, but yeah, like I think she was just matter of fact. There was no vacillating. Um, she meant what she said.
Mm.
And she said what she meant. And
Yeah.
I know that that's we use those terms all the time, but it was so true. And she was just very stern, and you know, she just knew what to do. I mean, she was not super hard on us. It wasn't like we were just like it was like, oh my gosh, we couldn't do nothing, and we could it wasn't like that. It was
Right.
really balanced. It was really balanced. And I think she just, the way she raised us, and my children are the exact same. That's why I say us, like me and them.
Right.
Like it was so balanced till there were just certain things that we were able to avoid
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't as appealing. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was really this balance there that just kept us really, really grounded, so to speak. So, but yeah, I mean, I like I said, I credit her because I give her all the credit for raising my children. They were in a lot of different things, um and she managed to take them here and there and everywhere. And I usually worked, most of the time, and
Right.
not having really good jobs. I worked like 2 or 3 jobs at a time. One time I had 4 jobs. They were like part-time, but just trying to piece all that together. And so I was constantly trying to work and still struggling,
Yeah.
still living in poverty. But um she was there, she was there to just assist and to help and to move things forward and make sure that they didn't lack,
Right.
in different experiences and things like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad to hear that you had that sense of security and
Yeah.
all of that help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um. So, did you breastfeed any of them?
No, negative. So here's the thing, let me take my credit. So for literally, I'm gonna give myself 2 seconds.
Okay.
I tried with my eldest child. It was a wrap. After that first little pinch, bite, slash, oh, I was done. I'm serious. I didn't even try no more. I was like, and they were in the hospital trying to get me to
Yeah.
try. Mm-mm. I was done. After that, I was like, oh, heck, this is not for play.
Wasn't for
I
you.
am not. I am not doing this. So that was it. So no.
Did they not have
But they healthy.
did they not have nipple shields back then?
I don't know. Nipple shields. I've never heard of that. So what
Oh,
is that? And what does that look like?
it's it's like a cover. It's like a nipple extender.
I
Well,
don't think so.
it's
Now
like,
it may. I don't think so. I've
you know,
never heard of it. I'm
oh,
not familiar with it. They didn't offer me anything. They just told me to try. So I'm gonna say no. In my experience, I didn't have access to them. So
right.
I mean, so I'm gonna say no.
Well, as long as they're healthy,
They
big and
healthy.
healthy.
They are healthy. They did not miss a beat. Okay, they
Right.
good. They good.
Okay. So how was it when you were okay, let me try to figure out how I want to say this. Them all being so young. So did they spent most of their time with your mom?
Yeah, I mean both of us. But yeah, I, yeah, the majority of the time, yeah, because we were only in California for a short time. So yeah, yep,
So did you
around. I would say around for sure.
okay,
Like around my mother.
right.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you having to work two, three, four jobs at a time. Did you experience any working mom guilt because of that?
Absolutely. Listen, to this day.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a challenge. I think I'm coming out of that now.
Yeah.
Because I look at where they are and I feel like it's done. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
done. We made it. Um but yeah, I did. I mean, and I think that was one of my issues with when I was raising them. I just felt like um I just couldn't give them what they deserved. You know what I mean? So just being divorced and trying to raise them on my own and um not having the support from the father, that really made me feel guilty because I felt like, okay, I wasn't good enough to keep, I didn't do well enough to keep him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And now I have you guys living, in this impoverished situation, and regardless of how much I strive and tried, it still remained that way. And I had a great support system. So like my family was there for me, like for sure. But they were limited on what they did, which they did a whole lot, don't get me wrong, because of my pride, you
Hmm.
know, and feeling like, well, it's my responsibility to
Right.
take care of them. And so I have to figure this out, and I can't keep relying on other people for help. And so I will only really ask for help when it was like almost beyond repair, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty tough, just trying to, because little children, that everything that they get or experience is kind of contingent on your involvement one way
Right.
or another, right? So um I just felt like I wanted to give them so much more and I wanted them to experience so much more, but I can only do so much. You know what I mean? And so I hated the fact that I was limited in my ability to just provide for them.
Right.
And so in my attempts to provide, I had to do, other little things that would make them happy, which would in turn make me feel like, okay, I did something right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so yeah, as far as guilt, absolutely. And up until recently, I really struggled with that, but I had to understand that what's done is done now.
Hmm.
um it didn't turn out too bad because they're not statistics, they could be.
Right.
um and I just have to move on from that, and they're not holding me, hostage
Right.
to my mistakes or my inability to do, so I have to free myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, so probably more recently, I'm you know, I'm still, and I think I'm not all the way there, but I'm very close to just realizing that, hey, we made it,
Yeah.
and everybody makes mistakes, and life doesn't always go as we planned. So we just have to move on and make the best of it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you're moving out of that.
Coming out of that, yeah.
I'm it's a brand new thing for me. Cuz
Yeah.
you just go day to day thinking that
Yep.
maybe I didn't do enough today, or
Hmm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm not a
absolutely.
working mom like outside of home, so I don't know what that's like. But when that day comes, I'm already anxious about it because
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to leave them, and I'm still not ready to part ways.
absolutely.
So
I
yeah, I don't
understand.
know how I'm gonna deal with that.
Yeah, and they're younger, and the awesome thing about it is God has graced you now where you don't have to worry about that right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think one of the other things um, is that we don't take into consideration the care that we give our children. So, no, we may not be able to give them all these materialistic things, but it's the love. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's the ability to ensure that they have clothing, they have shelter, um, you know, they're well kept, they're eating every day. And I say that is so important because if you look at our world today, and all the crazy heinous things that are happening to these children.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Putting them in microwaves, throwing them in
Mm,
minefield. I mean, just all these different things
mm.
that only require care, love,
Right.
And so it's like a lot of there's so many children that suffer, and so I think we should give ourselves credit. And I mean, it's our job. We're supposed to love our children. We're
Yeah.
supposed to take care of them. But unfortunately, in the times that we live in, I mean, it's almost not the norm anymore. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like for parents to care for the soul, you have to give yourself credit for what you're doing, taking care of them, and that's a blessing. And you could have this other mind that causes people to do the strange things that they do, you know what I mean, but you
Yeah.
don't. So yeah, you deserve credit for that for sure. So yeah.